So good to be riding my Colnago C68. It's been a while since I've ridden it because my current bike, my newest bike, is a Factor Ostro VAM. And actually that's a question I get quite a lot is, okay Alex, you rode the Colnago for a long time, now you're riding the Factor. Which one do you prefer? Which one is better? If you had to choose one bike, which one would it be? Now that's a very, very hard question. Hard question you ask me. But of course they are two completely different bikes. And I'll try to answer that question by the end of the video. I don't have it really formed in my mind right now, but as I talk to you guys, it's usually my thoughts I'm putting out there, and I might come to a choice maybe, if I can say that. But they're two different bikes, great bikes. Now, I'll point out a few things that are specific of each bike and the characteristics and things I like on one bike and things I like on the other. So I rode with the C68 for over a year, did quite a lot of fondos, group rides, rode it a lot, and loved the ride quality. And the thing of the Colnago is the craftsmanship. It's handmade in Italy. You don't see many bikes built like this, carbon bikes, that they are carbon lugs. Very few manufacturers do that because it is much more time consuming, requires much more labor, so it makes the frame more expensive. But you know, Italians make some beautiful designs, and it's just a gorgeous bike. And so the tradition, the made in Italy, the beauty of the bike that really attracted me to purchase this bike. And actually, when I go to a group ride, it's incredible how much attention this bike attracts. I didn't realize that. It always reminds me, when I first look at this bike, I said, no, I want a bike like this. The Factor, of course, people ask about the Factor, and it's all flashy and modern. But the C68, it has this this design, this beauty, this class that people look into it, and very few people have it. You know, in a world where we live here in Florida, where everybody looks like everybody owns a Specialized or a Trek, I didn't think people would appreciate the craftsmanship of Colnago, but I was wrong. So after like riding almost 6 months with the Factor, now hopping onto the C68, I can with more confidence say that this geometry, and of course it is a different bike, you know, it's not a bike designed to race. So you can race it, you can do fondos, you can go really fast with it. But if I was looking, when I was looking at this bike, I wasn't looking into having the lightest, the, you know, fastest, the more aero bike. I was looking for the beauty, for the comfort, for the pleasure of riding a special bike. And if I wanted like pure performance, at the time I would probably get the V4 RS. That's the same geometry as the C68. It's the Colnago where they used to ride on the Tour de France. Now they are riding with the Y1 RS or the V5 RS. And I will get that one because that one is a monocoque, so it's a frame that's put into a mold. There's still a lot of labor onto it, but it's a lighter bike, doesn't have the beauty of some of the design here. The head tube has these curves that brings a little bit of weight onto the bike. So the V4S is focused on a very fast, very racy bike, light as possible. The C68, although a very similar geometry, has a more focus onto the C-Series, that all these bikes, the C-Series, they are into the beauty, the craftsmanship, the tradition of the Italian brand Colnago. So the Factor Ostro VAM, in the other hand, was a bike where when engineers were designing it, they wanted to make a super aero and as light as possible. So you have a bike that responds really well, it's very aggressive, and it delivers that. I do feel a very aggressive bike. So like I'm on the C68, it is fast, don't get me wrong, and it's a little heavier because I also put some heavier wheels. Like I told you guys, I wasn't thinking of doing the lightest and fastest bike, and I hop on this bike, I just want to ride for hours, enjoy. I feel good on the bike. I want to stop for a coffee, you know, somewhere, and it's just a pleasure of cycling. And I've done, like I mentioned, races, fondos, did some crazy efforts, and it did very, very well. Now when I hop on the Factor, it's like, plus I'm in a more aggressive position. It is a more aggressive bike, and it wants to go fast. So I really feel it respond when I go up the hill. It responds really well, the massive bottom bracket, and the whole bike it's incredible. So comparing the quality of the bike, both are very refined, very well built bikes. Factor, because they own their own factory, so the quality control is beyond comparable to other manufacturers, and they look really into the finish of the bike. I don't have any problems, like, you know, installing the calipers on the fork and having uneven, you know, carbon that will misalign the caliper. Everything is flawless. It's like, not that there is not any issues. Of course, any product and manufacturing might come with some defect here and there, but compared to other brands that I have built, it's a very well made frame. The Colnago C68 is what I kind of say more, is also the bike I have built more. I've built a few V3s, that's their entry level, but there is a difference there on the, you know, refining of the bike, and you can clearly see that the C68 is very well made and very detailed. All the details of the bike, it's a pretty bike. How it's painted and the finish of the carbon, just excellent. In regards to maintenance, both bikes are very resilient. In like a bike mechanic perspective, when I'm building the bike, the worst thing is to pass the hose through the handlebars. I think Factor is a little worse because their exit here is pretty hard to take it out. But after you get a hang of it, and I don't know if you even guys would be interested in that, but that's like what a mechanic usually is looking when he's building a bike. But there never had any like issues, creaking sounds. So the Factor is a little bit more picky, so you got to make sure it's well greased, everything is torqued, because if there's anything that's not well greased, it will creak and it will echo through the frame. So when I'm building a bike, I'm making sure I'm greasing really well and making sure everything is in the right specs. Like for example, on my bike, I installed the bottom bracket, and there's the two cups that they come together inside, and I forgot to grease in between the cups. After 2-3 weeks, I started hearing this creaking sound coming from the bottom bracket, and I said, what? How could that happen? So I opened it, and I needed to grease in between the cups. After that, the creaking went away. So things like that, you know, but everything on the bike, no bottom bracket works good. No seat clamp issues. I do prefer the seat clamp on the Factor that's it's bolted on the back. I think it works better and it looks nicer. The bolt is the clamp is right here on top of the Factor. You have this little rubber here thing that you cover the seat clamp, and if you lose this rubber, you got to buy the whole clamp to be able to clamp the seat post. Although you're not going to be removing this all the time, and it's pretty well in there. It's just that, like, if you remove it, then you lose it. So I had people come in the shop that lost these little rubber things, but everything else works really well. Pretty good bikes to work with. No major issues. How these bikes perform in different situations. So I would say, for example, the C68, I like descending because I like how stable this bike is. I think it's a combination because it's a tiny bit heavier than the Ostro VAM. The wheelbase and the geometry of the bike just makes it more stable bike. So when I'm descending, I really feel control of the bike. Not that I don't feel control on the Factor, but it's a little bit more aggressive. So any side wind, you really do feel that aerodynamic sideways. You know, when you have a wide, a deep wheel and that wind blows on the side and you see the bike shakes a little. I do feel that a little bit on the Factor. So it is, yes, very responsive, but in the same way, it's very aggressive. So you really have to sit in control. Even in the beginning, I had a little bit of trouble with the Factor. Like, I'm used to taking my hands off the bike, and I do this regularly when I'm alone, you know, riding here, talking to you guys. And I have no problem with the C68. In the beginning, the Factor, I had to kind of get used to it because it is very snappy. But after a while, you get the feel of the bike, and I'm able to do that too with the Factor. But I definitely feel a difference on how the bike responds and how stable the different in stability. Now, going up the hills, the Colnago does go up the hill very well. It's a good climbing bike, but I do feel a difference of the weight with the Factor. The Factor is a lighter bike, and it's just goes up the hill really smoothly. Maybe if I put on these on this bike here some lighter wheels, not so deep wheels, this would climb much better. So you can put some really nice, maybe NV wheels or something like that, and the bike would probably match with the Factor Ostro VAM, but still, it would still be a little bit heavier than the Factor. And I think when you're going uphill and in Georgia, I'll definitely need the lighter bike. On really long rides, I would want to say that the Colnago is more comfortable, but I've been riding and doing some long rides on the Factor, and I feel great. So I can't really say that, but theoretically, the Colnago should be a more comfy ride. It's not an endurance bike, but it should be more comfortable compared with the Ostro VAM, where it has a pretty aggressive geometry. But I do feel very good. Some people, you know, they want the Ostro VAM, but their current bike is like a super endurance bike, and they want to try to match the geometry and the comfort. And we can try our best, you know, raising the head tube, putting some more spacers over there, but it's just a bike that's made for a race. Maybe a better option would be the Monza or other bikes that have a geometry that will put you in a more upright position. Now, I have been building some Ostro VAMs from some people that like don't have a really big drop, and they do pretty well. They enjoy the bike, they love the bike, they go on for longer rides. But I would say maybe the Colnago, it's an easier bike to fit people in if you're looking into a position to be more endurance and more upright, and you don't want to be such in an aggressive position. Not that we can't do with the Factor Ostro VAM, but it's a little harder. Now, if I had to choose, I had to I can't only keep one bike. It's a really tough decision. But you know, I think I would keep the C68 because of its uniqueness. Not because it's a better bike or I love it more. No, I love riding both bikes. It's just that the Ostro VAM is a race performance bike, and probably I would in the future want a newer version or a limited color that they launch, you know, something like that. I wouldn't have such a hard time replacing that bike or getting a newer version of a faster bike. The C68, it has this class, it has this tradition, it has this beauty, and it's almost like a collectible, you know, I would say. So I'm gonna ride it a lot and most likely keep it. And it has a lot of history. Right when I opened the new shop, it's the bike one of the first bikes I built in the shop and rode and met so many people with this bike. So I would have a much harder time having to give this bike up than the Ostro VAM. Yeah, that's my take. I hope this answered those people that ask me a lot of like, which bike do you like better? Maybe it's not a direct answer, but it's the best I can do to share and compare these two totally different bikes, but great bikes that I love a lot. So I don't know, let me know what you think, and that's it for this video. As always, I'll see you on our next ride experience. Ciao.